Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host. I'm sorry, we having a thunderstorm. I thought it was some type of alarm sounding off. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's video, we're going to talk about the global market. We're looking at a stock market crash. They're speculating that this is just a reset, or maybe it's a cycle that we're going through. It might be a recession, but in a time of recession, of course, we're looking at who's in office, what the impacts of that of the people that's running the country, and how they will respond to this market tanking, a global crash. That's what they're calling it. It's a global crash. So of course the market is going to react, and we're trying to see. Okay, are we going to put our dollar hold steady and just keep our dollar in whatever we got it in? Or is it time to pull out? I wouldn't suggest pulling out, because I've seen some of this kind of stuff happening before. And the market always rebounds and corrects itself and gets back to, the normal rate of exchange or interest rate. So we're going to talk about that. Also, over the weekend, Donald Trump had his rally in Atlanta. He has some explosive speakers that took the stage and really talked about the different policies that, put a comparison from Kamala Harris and Biden policies to Donald Trump comparison or policies, and really honed in on what we should be looking at. So we're going to look at that video. Also, we're going to talk about some of the backlash that Donald Trump has been receiving since he's visit that conference, the National Journalism Conference, Black Conference, that is, and, calling out Kamala Harris for being a liar. In regards to her race. One of the questions was posed by one of the interviewers, and they were trying to, I guess, shame Donald Trump and shame his followers or supporters and saying, hey, Kamala Harris is a DEI hire. So they brought it up, and then Donald Trump, of course, he started talking about how Kamala Harris identifies as a black person, but it was only convenient for her to identify as a black person because he's always known her as an Indian woman, which is true. It's documented that Kamala Harris identified as an Indian person, and she is Jamaican. I guess if you call black, some foundational black Americans say you can't be a black person unless you are a ADOS person. And some people feel like, okay, if it's your skin color, your skin tone, if you identify as a black person, you can. So, there's some discrepancy in that. I wish we just get off this subject, because who cares? We need to be focusing on the policy. But anyway, they brought it up, so they talked about it. And Brian Donalds, he was on MSNBC talking about it. And they keep on saying, well, you guys are honing in on this information. No, but you keep on asking me about it, so I'm going to talk about it. Anyway, so we're going to get into it. You guys stay tuned and for another episode. Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Tiffany Riley, you guys put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. Please put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. We have Tiffany Riley in the building. Hello, Tiffany. This is why I do not put money into the government. I need you to go in the microwave and get my coffee. Okay. And it's a spoon right next to the stove. Just put it in there. Be careful, because it might be a little bit warm. Thank you. We have Rick Hill from Perrysburg, Ohio. Noble Young is in the building. Samuel Matthews, it's always great to see you. Kevin Waller from Pittsburgh. I have some people in Pittsburgh, Kevin. That's where my family is from. Made in Texas. Merry Monday to everyone from Texas. Lexi is in the chat. And Tiffany, she is tuning in from Memphis, Tennessee. It's always great to see you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I posted this last video and I'm getting a lot of hate. I just want people to be well informed of who they're voting from. We're talking about electing someone in and we don't know their policies. We're talking about supporting someone and we don't know their policies. We're not familiar with their policies. Thank you. You guys do your work, okay? Okay. Make sure you clean up after yourself. So we're talking about electing someone into the free world and we have not seen their policies yet. She's talked about it, and I'm speaking of Kamala Harris. I'm going to keep on calling her Kamala Harris because I think she's a scam. I really do. I think she's a scam. No, Chase, do not take that big old bag of popcorn upstairs. Put it in a little popcorn bowl. I think she's a scam. And when I say a scam, I think she doesn't have any genuine bone in her body. So I posted this video. And we talked about, usually when I post a video, it's just snippets of what we talked about during our live stream. And this video particularly talked about Kamala Harris running on, sticking it to predators, bank predators, sexual predators, blah, blah, blah. She's, as a DA, she, laid down the law. She ruled law and order. And, she did rule law and order in favor for herself. She stuck it to mostly black men, mostly people in the lower income community, single mothers, people, threatening them, put them in jail, sending truancy officers after people because they can't get their kids to school. I believe there should be truant officers, but you're putting a person behind bars or fining them because they're not sending their kids to school for one way or another. It might not be that fault. And reason why I'm saying that is because I came from a single parent household. I knew in Chicago, me and my brothers, we had to get up early in the morning and catch 3 to 4 buses to school. And we were late literally every day. And reason why we was late every day, my mother wasn't there. She had to get up way earlier before us so she could make her job on time. So should my mother been in jail or prosecuted or fined because we didn't get up on time, or we had to catch 3 to 4 buses to school in the wintertime in Chicago? That's pretty hard as a single mother. So, but this is her record, Kamala Harris' record. And what I'm getting at is this is what she said in her speech. I, took it to the bank or stuck it to the people that had the predatory lending practices. She stuck it to the sexual predators. And I posted that video of the sexual predators that she didn't stick it to. And she had 9 years to do it. And people got mad at me. You guys go to the video and look. Look at the comments in the video. They were absolutely livid. This is just documented information. I'm not making stuff up. This is documented information. This is off her record. Not making it up. So you could take it as you want it. But I'm still going to talk about Kamala because we're talking about electing her to the president, the highest office in the land. And we need to know her track record. Just like Tiffany Henyard. Every people that's not in Dalton, Illinois, they give people shit about the people that live in Dalton, Illinois. Well, they didn't know she had a record before that. They didn't know this before she had the record. And then you'll end up with the Dalton, Illinois scenario. They elected this lady based off her race in her gender. Why do that? Why would we do that? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, so I'm going to still talk about her. I don't care if you leave or lose subscribers. I'm going to still talk about her. I'm going to talk about Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump policies. If you don't like it, that's too bad. So anyway, we have this stock market crash, and it's being said that let me just share this tab with you. It's being said that Wall Street is braces for a bloodbath as Dow Nasdaq futures plunge following Japan meltdown, stoking fears of a U.S. recession. This is the I guess what they're speculating. Economists are speculating that this might have a bad impact on U.S. economy. Our economy is not strong right now. It's really shaky right now because we don't know some of our GDP, that some of our things that contribute to our GDP is really shaky. 1/5 of our GDP comes from manufacturing. We're not strong in manufacturing right now because we have these new green energy deals that's, putting pressure on the manufacturers to look elsewhere to get parts and shut down other manufacturing places where they once manufactured one way. Now they got to manufacture another way because they're, this deadline is fastly approaching. So we have to look to see if our leaders had the foresight to know this might have happened. And we don't have those type of leaders. Okay, so we don't have the leaders. They're looking to see our leaders right now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the people that they have in their camp. They look to see, it looks good. Let's put a bow on it and it looks good. Let's say we're the first people or first administration to do X, Y, and Z. But they really not looking down the pipeline to see, okay, if we do X, Y, and Z, if we initiate X, Y, and Z, how would that impact the U.S. economy? Now, as far as the Japan market, basically when the yen, so I guess Japan's market, they were able to buy in securities or buy money for cheap against the yen. And I guess it took the turn for the worse. And now people started to sell off their stocks. Okay. And it's saying that the Japanese stocks spiraled lower and the yen surged against the dollar as Asian trading saw the beginning of what it is shaping up to be a tumultuous Monday in the global market. Worries over the prospect of the U.S. recession rose into the end of last week and were punctuated by Friday weaker than expected U.S. job reports and non-farm payrolls figure for July, which sent the S&P 500 tumbling into the weekend. Matter of fact, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones, those all tumbled. The Dow Jones, I think it went down 1,000 points over the weekend. Right now, it bounced back about 200, so it's down by 800. And then, if you look at some of this, you see it on the screen. Dow Jones still down 930 points, 2%, 3.2% in NASDAQ. So, we're starting to see the effects of the global market. The global market essentially affects us. Remember, I was talking about how some currency is backed by the U.S. dollar because the U.S. dollar always been strong and stable. But if our U.S. dollar is weak, what do you think that's going to happen? Okay, so we have to keep our eye out on this. Now, when we're talking about our leaders. Now, we could just say, oh, it's the U.S., our U.S. leaders. No, there are world leaders, because people tend to look at the U.S. as the example. Cannon and Chase. Cannon and Chase. Number one, you being too loud. And number two, I believe your dad just called. You need to answer the phone or call him back. Okay, yeah, you guys are being too loud. So the world leaders, and they look to us for those type of examples, and when we are not good examples, we look weak. Okay, we look weak on the world stage. Now, this is timing is everything. It's weird. I don't know why you would do this. I wouldn't have done it. If someone hired me for a job and the time got rough, I wouldn't bail on them. I will see the job through. If you hire, unless you was doing something to me egregious, I wouldn't quit on you. That's just something that's, I think it's just a moral thing that I have. That's just a moral code that I would live by. If you were in office and you hired me for X, Y, and Z, I would not quit unless something egregious you're doing to me. That's the only reason why I was quit. That I would quit. But I would not quit if the time was getting rough. So this is perfect timing. The senior economic aide, Gene Sperling, is leaving the White House to work on Harris' campaign. Harris, this is still your office, though. You hired the guy to do economic things, right? You do economics thing. And then you said, okay, you need to come and work for my office. And he just jumped ship, jumped the Biden-Harris team and go work on your campaign. Does that make any sense? You should have told, and this is telling right here. This is how she feels about Joe Biden. She's stealing his employees, stealing his campaign. It doesn't make any sense, even though they only have 4 months left. Well, I guess you could say 6 months because they got to last until January. It says White House senior advisor Gene Sperling is leaving the administration position to work on Vice President Kamala Harris' election campaign as the Democrats step up efforts to challenge Donald Trump on policy issues in November's election. Yeah, she does need a strong economic advisor because that is the main thing that is on top of people's mind. We want to know, what are you planning to do about these damn high ass prices? And we saw videos of her that she could not coherently answer what would she do to deter inflation. What is her strategy to get rid of inflation or to combat inflation? Sperling served both Clinton and Barack Obama as director of the White House National Economic Council. President Joe Biden tasked him to manage a $1.9 trillion pandemic aid package, a role in which Sperling implemented the temporary expansion of the child tax credit. He was also the White House liaison to the union and car companies during the auto strike. Under Gene's leadership, the American Rescue Plan has delivered economic relief to cities and counties across the country, protecting millions of union pensions, made largest ever federal investment to public safety, and kept thousands of small businesses afloat, Biden said in the statement obtained by the Associated Press. One thing about the American Rescue Plan, I wonder if they're going to audit these cities, because I believe that this American Rescue Plan was egregiously mismanaged by the states. Some of these small businesses and some of these other nonprofit organizations, and what the money was attended to, they have never seen the money, i.e. Flint. If you look at Flint, Michigan, some of that money was supposed to, help the housing, build their housing up and, refurbish some of their housing. And none of their citizens seen that money. So are they going to go in and audit like they audit the SBA? They need to audit these states and local legislators to see if they actually issued that money out and where did they spend that money on. If not, you need to put that money back. If you didn't spend the money correctly, you need to issue that money back to the federal government, and that could be used against our debt, our $31.5 trillion debt. Okay, so that's with Sperling. So he's jumping Biden Harris ship and going on the Kamala Harris quote unquote campaign. Don't know if that's a good thing. I think it's a horrible thing given what's happening right now. Okay, so you have Biden Harris, they lose their top economic advisor, and you have Kamala Harris. She is planning to pick her VP today. It's between Josh Shapiro, Waltz, Waller. I think his name is Waller, right? And some other guy. I think Pete Buttigieg still on the list? I'm not for sure. It's hard to keep track. Okay, so that happened. So you had the economy is pretty shaky now. I think it says a lot with our world leaders. Are they going to be able to handle this type of turmoil? And what's trending right now on X, Kamala crash, Bidenomics, Gene Sperling. That's what's trending right now. And the Dow, Wall Street, NASDAQ, those S&P, of course, those are all trending right now because people, is it a super inflated on the internet? Probably so. But I think it's some truth to it. I think we are heading to a recession because my husband, he works for the UAW. They closed one of the plants down right next door to him, and they shut down one of the shifts. They're offering buyouts to some of the white collar workers at Stellantis. So we are heading to a recession. What leader will be the best leader to handle this type of pressure? And I can't say Kamala Harris because some of the stuff that she talks about when they asked about the economy on the global scale, she's not able to give a coherent answer. It's really frightening. Let me just pull up Okay, so this is another thing that happened over the weekend. Now, we know they negotiated the prisoners from Russia. They did a trade-off. I think this is another avenue that the DNC will probably take to usher Harris into the White House by invoking the 25th on Joe Biden. Even though we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Joe Biden was forced to drop out the race so Kamala could take over. And they said, hey, if you don't do this, we're going to invoke the 25th. And Nancy Pelosi and Harris had her hand behind it, So if you don't drop out the race, we're going to invoke the 25th. I think this was planned. This was planned. They saw Joe Biden walk up on this Russian plane to do what? I'm not for sure. They said to talk to the people that was on the plane. Do you speak Russian? No. To talk to the prisoners that they ushered home. Well, why don't you talk to them off the plane? This is a security risk. Why would his security team let him board a Russian plane? This is what happened. You guys are being too loud. And I hope you be done with your homework. So for 20 minutes, Joe Biden was on a plane. Doing what? I'm not for sure. They say he was on a plane talking to people. What was that all about? So they're walking away. They said, oh, he went on the plane to thank the pilots. Do they speak English? I'm just speculating. They don't speak English because they're from Russia. But maybe they do. Maybe I'm being closed-minded. But why were you on the plane, and why didn't someone go on there with you? We don't know what type of threat it was. Even though I don't like Joe Biden, I don't want him kidnapped by Russia. You see what I'm saying, where I'm going with this? So I think they did this on purpose. And, you had Kamala Harris smiling in the background just to say, hey, something is wrong with him. He is not able to do make decisions in the White House. Anyway, let me get to some of your chats. We have Rob Murray from Chino, California. Thank you for tuning in. Those people with one-track mind, yes. I'm not voting for neither. Both is not like us or not for us. That's my take, and it's good that you have your opinion. And I'm not going to blast you for your opinion, but that is your opinion. See, you're not the only one that's catching it. People do not work. This has been coming for a while. Yes, it's very shaky. Room Rotor said. Kamala will push the most liberal agenda directed by the donor class. If you like what has been happening, inflation, high interest rate, men playing in women's sports, then vote for Kamala. Exactly. Samuel Matthews says, but when Trump says bloodbath, it doesn't mean economic disaster. He said that about the UAW. He said the car industry will be a bloodbath. And they thought he meant the UAW workers was going to take to the street and start killing people, I guess. You got that he used the word bloodbath. But then we had this news report. This is from the New York Post. It says Wall Street braces for the bloodbath. So is the stocks, they're real people and they out fighting each other? I'm not for sure. So you can't use the word bloodbath. Well, Trump is the only person that cannot use that word. Okay, so it's would be interesting to see what will come up of this. Will this affect Harris numbers? Will this affect Trump's numbers? We don't know. It said, I saw one report. It says Harris was up 2 to 3 points above Trump, and I'm thinking like, how can this possibly be so? Because your girl Kamala Harris has not even came out she hasn't put anything out on her platform yet. So I don't understand, how is she leading in any poll and nobody know what she's working with. She talks about civil rights and her upbringing and things that she done over her career. She talks about the reproductive freedoms and blah 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 blah. Okay. But no real platform. You can't find the policies. You could donate, but you can't find the policies to see what she's running on. Meet Kamala Harris, take action, store, donate. Now, there is a tweet going around on X saying you can now get paid. Get paid from Kamala Harris. They're trying to recruit influencers. They're trying to recruit influencers to a Kamala Harris campaign. They're paying up to $20,000 for people to fly out to the DNC. Okay, fly out to the DNC and make one post on their social. It says, so this is from Steve. I don't know who Steve is. Steve Mudflap. He said they're trying to get me to be a paid shield for Kamala, but let's this be a lesson. They are paying people to pretend to support Kamswala. I just got it. Okay. I wouldn't have said that if. Anyway. And they're saying they're launching Launch Viral is a political neutral. Our company focused on connecting influencers with collaboration opportunities. Support Kamala Harris campaign. What they're offering. This one is just offering $150,000 or $150 in cash. But this other one, let me see if I can find it. This is Launch Viral. Okay, so they said Kamala Harris and the DNC are so desperate to bribe my generation votes that they're paying influencers $20,000 to come to their convention. And they're gonna put them up in a hotel room. They could stay a minimum of 1 day. If they want to stay all days, they can. It says the GOP creator program at our convention had 100 plus influencers, and none were bought and paid for. None of them. So you had people working, actually excited about the GOP cause. But Kamala Harris, they can't get nobody excited about that. Now, if you get mad about that, that's not, you can't get mad at me. You can't get mad at someone delivering the message. This is just on the internet, okay? Don't get in the chat talking about, so what did Donald Trump do? We're not talking about that. We're talking about how the DNC cannot get people riled up for their cause, okay? When people believe in something, they'll do it for free. And the DNC people don't have that. They got to have paid actors and influencers to come to their convention. That's why you have Megan Thee Stallion, Plies, dumb self, talking about how great Kamala Harris is. It says A-list. A-list. They want A-list influencers and celebrities who would like to attend the DNC will get their flights and hotel credentials to the convention, exclusive invites to parties, events happening during the week in Chicago. Also, I'm seeking top celebrities to do the post, and the budget per creator is around $20K. But we'll be happy to talk through if there's anyone with a bigger influence messaging aligned. Okay. The money is being paid and required social media. One post. They only have to do one post and attend to the convention. 18th through the 24th, selected guests can stay one night or all nights. Nothing else is required. Okay, so that's what they're offering, and they want A-list influencers. What are A-list influencers? I guess those people that have high engagement, maybe actors, actresses, singers, writers, dancers, blah blah blah. You know, not nobody like me. You know, somebody that got a huge following. You know, what's her name? Amber Rose. She could have got paid $20,000. She could have got paid 20 grand. Well, Amber Rose probably would have charged them more, but that's what they're looking for. Okay, Harry Sisson. They said he was paid over $250,000 from the DNC. So maybe he had a run on an open book saying, to continue to talk about Joe Biden and his campaign. And so they're saying he got paid over $250,000. How can you look that up? You if it's paid through a PAC, it's all, or a campaign fund, is all, public information. So you could find that information. So they're paying people. They want you to talk about Democrats and how great Kamala Harris is. They want you to lie, basically. They want you to lie. They want you to lie to, just tell everybody, oh, Kamala Harris, she believes in the people. She's going to usher our economy to a new heights, and we got to stand on democracy. What are they saying? What are they saying now? Democracy is on the ballot. Democracy is on the ballot. This parrot talking points, and we know it's all fake. Okay, it is all fake. And what more can you say about that? Anyway, so that happened. We know the DNC is going to pay. They have their shields that's out there. Now, we do have another thing that happened over the weekend. This was Sunday. Byron Donalds was talking to George Stephanopoulos. What is his name? George somebody. And George had his panties all up in the bunch. He wouldn't allow Byron to give his talking points out. He asked him a question, and while he was answering it, he was over talking him, and he didn't want the people to really know the answer, apparently. So he was pissed off. George is pissed off at Byron's answer. Okay. And this is what he had to say. They're saying, this is a post from Johnny Maga. He said an unhinged George Stephanopoulos threw a tantrum this morning over Kamala Harris' racial identity. George says, I don't understand why you keep on repeating it. Why the presidents keep on repeating it. Well, you guys keep on bringing it up. The president was asked, is it right for them to say Kamala Harris is a DEI hire? And Donald Trump was like, well, I don't know about that, but she was an Asian person or identified as an Indian, but now all of a sudden she's black. Okay, you open up that door. So of course we're going to talk about it. And we're talking about it because you're trying to hitch this I'm black, vote for me campaign, this identity politics campaign onto Kamala Harris, and it's backfiring on you. Okay, so this is Byron Donalds talking to George.
That she was the most liberal.
And you just repeated the slur again. If it doesn't matter, why do you all keep questioning her identity? She's always identified as a black woman. She is biracial. She has a Jamaican father and an Indian mother. She's always identified as both. Why are you questioning that?
Well, George, first of all, this is something that's actually a conversation throughout social media right now. There were a lot of people who are trying to figure this out. But again, that's a side issue, not the main issue. The main issue.
Sir, 1 second. You just did it. You just did it again.
Of the United States.
Why do you insist on questioning her racial identity?
You want me to talk?
I want you to answer my question.
George, now that you're done yelling at me, let me answer. He talked about it on the stage yesterday in Atlanta for 2 minutes? He spent more than 35, 40 minutes going after her record, talking about how radical of a senator that she was. She was the most liberal senator in the United States, in the United States Senate. That is a fact. He talked about the job that she did as vice president of the United States, a job, I will add, which has been a failure for the American people. I know you guys like to glom on to this that he talks about in jest or in a serious manner for about a minute or so, but what you do not cover is the litany of failures of Kamala Harris. That's what you're not covering, George.
So questioning somebody's racial identity for a couple minutes is okay?
George, I'm going to tell you again, he brought it up. AP is the one that wrote the headline when she first came in to the United States Senate. Didn't talk about her being black, talked about her being the first Indian American senator. AP brought that up. I mean, George, we could have this conversation for the entire segment, but none of this matters to the American people. What matters to the American people is, are we going to have the same policies of the Biden-Harris administration that has been destructive of the American people, or are we going to have the policies of the Trump administration, which put America first, had low inflation, prosperous Americans, no matter your race, no matter your color, no matter your creed, and a foreign policy that kept America safe? Those are the facts that truly matter, because this issue is going to come and go. The lives of the American people is what's going to remain, and that's what matters more than anything else.
If it doesn't matter, I don't understand why you keep on repeating it, why the president keeps on repeating it, why those introducing the president yesterday
George,
keep on
actually,
repeating
I'm
it.
not the one who keeps repeating it. George, you're the one that's bringing it up now. That's you.
You've done it,
I understand why
sir.
you
You've done it.
up.
George, get your panties out your ass. You keep on saying somebody repeating it. He's went on talking about policies and how Donald Trump spent 35 minutes talking about policy. And you keep on bringing this racial identity up. You keep on bringing it up.
You've done it 3 times. Every single answer you...
Because nobody give a damn about if Kamala is black. We don't care what color she is. She needs to stop lying, though. It's only convenient for you to be black when you go to Atlanta and start talking country and all that nonsense. Actually, it's kind of offensive. You're from California, i.e. Canada. We know you don't got a country accent, so stop it. So yeah, it's offensive to black people when you're saying, "Oh, I identify as this," and you're really not. Only culture that you have, being in black culture, is because you went to Howard University for 4 years. And why does she even mention that she had to cook a pot of so many greens that she cleaned them out in the bathtub? It's offensive. But you think that pulls the heartstrings of Black Americans, and it doesn't. We get pissed off by that. We're pissed off. When we see you ain't black, your president, Joe Biden, telling us you ain't black if you don't vote for me, or if he's visiting a black family in a black neighborhood and he brings freaking fried chicken, it's offensive. Even though everybody love fried chicken, it's not offensive. Let me tell you, everybody love fried chicken. Everybody loves it. But when you try to say, oh, it ain't no, like, you're talking to kids. They had kids in the family. What about pizza? I'm pretty sure they don't want no damn fried chicken like a Sunday dinner. No, they want some pizza. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What's the I forget what neighbor he probably was in. I think he was in New Baltimore or something like that, or Baltimore, Maryland. Hey, they have subs there. You could have bought a kid-friendly meal and had the same conversation with black folks, but no, you decided to get a bucket of chicken. So we pissed off. That's what the problem is. That's why the internet keep on talking about it. They pissed off about it because you keep on playing us like we fools. And we're not. And you're being the liberal gatekeeper. You're being the liberal gatekeeper. The white liberal gatekeeper saying, oh, you shouldn't talk about that. Well, why can't we? You're talking about it. Like, come on. It's really ridiculous and it's asinine.
Gave me. Now let me finish, sir.
George,
every single answer you gave, you repeated the slur.
Asked me, George. That's why I'm pushing back on you.
And why the hell is he calling this slur? It's not a slur. This is you brought this up. Is she a DEI candidate? I wish Donald Trump. I know he's trying to stay on the up and up, and I'm glad he answered it that way. That was more presidential. Well, I don't know, given the definition of the DEI. That was real smart of him. But I'm going to say yes. Because if you guys don't remember back in 2019 or early 2020, Angela Rye, Jamil Hill, all these black correspondents, political correspondents was telling Joe Biden, well, he better pick a black woman. And what's her name? Higginbotham, Lance Bottom was on the list. The lady that can't win nothing. The lady that was going for governor, the black girl, I forget what her name is. You guys put it in the chat. Kamala Harris, Susan, what's her name? Elizabeth, her name is Elizabeth Warren, the fake Indian. I guess her and Kamala are sisters. And what was the other girl name? She's a representative out in California. But I guess Kamala Harris, she was the best qualified for the job because she's the only one that's been in office for the longest. Besides Elizabeth Warren. And I guess she was too old. But we threatened, and I'm saying black women threatened. Joe Biden said, you better have a black woman ticket or we ain't gonna vote you in. And he put his tails between his leg and said, oh, I guess I got to get a black woman. After this same damn woman called you a racist on a debate stage. Nobody remember that, right? So she's not a DEI hire after we threatened him to hire her. Come on now. It's so crazy how ABC, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CNN, what all those alphabet mainstream media outlets, they have short-term memory and there's video footage of them doing this bullshit.
Now, George, you asked me the question 3 times. I responded, but
and every single time you repeat the slur. That is exactly my point. You simply can't say that it's wrong.
George, so then what you're saying, and I want to get off this topic because it's not the only thing that's going on. But George, now you're saying that AP is the one that slurred Kamala Harris, because those are the facts. You can go to the internet and look at the clips, George, if you want to, or we can talk about this now. I prefer to talk about the future of our country because the American people are struggling. The American people do need serious policy decisions to be made, and they need serious leadership on the world stage. Kamala Harris has not proven that she can do that. Donald J. Trump has proven that he can do that.
AP did not say that Kamala.
Shut up, George. You just gonna continue with this damn lie, and you're gonna die on this hill alone. You and your other liars. Just shut up. What are the policies? Why can't you guys get off this subject and talk about the policies that Kamala Harris planned to initiate when she's in office? The first 90 days, the first on day one, like Donald Trump's been doing. Because she doesn't have any. She regurgitate this is what Kamala Harris, that's why I said she doesn't have not one genuine bone in her body. She goes back and listens to somebody, probably Joe Biden's old tapes or even Donald Trump. Because in her last speech, y'all didn't notice that? She was talking about the border. She was talking about the border in her last speech. How she's going to close the border and make sure that the people that's over here have education, a place to live, and healthcare on your dime. Then she started talking about the economy. She has no clue. Kamala Harris is so far removed. And the only reason why she's talking about it is because people are probably telling her, like, no, we don't care about reproductive rights. People do not care about reproductive rights. They're putting that in their brains. Oh, I'm going to protect your reproductive rights. No, you care about how much you paying at the grocery store. That's what you care about. Oh, if I'm going at the grocery store and spending $100 and only getting X amount of food, and I got to go back and return only for one person, and I got to return and spend another $100 food and 7 days later, and it costs me $80 to fill up my gas tank. Yeah, that's a problem. That's why she doesn't have any clue, and she's going back and listening to other people's tapes and say, oh, let me put that in my speech. They're on reactionary. She doesn't have a real plan for America. But we want to vote her in. We should rally behind Kamala Harris, and she doesn't have a real plan. This is really crazy. This is really crazy. And to all you Kamala Harris supporters, why the hell would you get mad at somebody if they don't have a real plan? Why would you get mad at somebody for not saying that they don't want to vote for this particular person and they do not have a real plan for America? They don't have a real plan to shut the borders down. And you get mad at people for these things, these types of things that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so Kamala Harris, that's one of the backlashes of Kamala Harris, I guess, if you want to call it a backlash. This next video I want to show you on Trump's rally. Now, Trump, he had a young lady on there, last name Montgomery. Michaela, I believe her name is Michaela Montgomery. Yeah, Michaela Montgomery. Michaela Montgomery. And she lit Kamala ass up. She talked, okay, she brought up like Kamala only want to identify as black when it's convenient for her. That was a laugher, but she did an excellent job bringing up Donald Trump's record and his policies. His record as a president from 2016 to 2020 and his policies. We need to focus on policies, people. This is Michaela.
A lot of you guys know me as the girl from Chick-fil-A, but I am so much more than that. And I'm also launching a podcast. Now, why don't we jump right into it? See, as a young single mother, I can tell y'all that rent is too damn high. I can tell you that as a young black voter, groceries are too damn high. And as an American citizen, period, seniors like my parents should never have to choose between medicine or food. It should never be the quality of life versus the quantity of life. And I don't want to hear, oh, but we capped the price of insulin and lowered the price of all these medicines. Yeah, but you raised the price of everything else, so it's about time to start telling the truth to Americans and let them know exactly what they're signing up for if they want to vote for Kamala Harris. We need to vote based on facts and not feelings. See, under Harris and Biden, the average Georgia household is losing $1,060 per month, and inflation is at 21.4%. And due to the war on energy, average gas prices have reached record highs for the state. We also did a poll, and 80% of us black Americans are not happy with the current state of the economy, so I'm going to need 80% of y'all to vote accordingly in November. They love me, they really love me. The left wants you to get in your feelings about things that have been said, but I want you guys to pay attention to what has been done. They don't want to talk policy. They just want to use propaganda to steal your vote. The left is trying to tout this woman as a savior for the black community, but all she's done is hurt the black community since she came into the game. See, the first step in destroying the black community is to dismantle the black family. So aside from her record as a prosecutor, why don't we ask Mrs. Willie Brown if Kamala Harris cares about black families? I wonder if Mrs. Willie Brown, a black woman, is also with her.
That was a read.
A few days ago, President Trump said he didn't know Vice President Harris was a black woman. I'm trying to figure out what all the outrage is about because she's only black when it's time to get elected. Did I lie? The same black people who are mad at Trump for being confused about her race, ethnicity, nationality, whatever, are seemingly forgetting that while you're touting her as a savior for black people, she identifies as an Asian woman. She chose her side and it wasn't ours. When asked if she would ever do anything specifically for black people, she said no. Whereas Trump gave us the Platinum Plan, which specifically uplifted the black community by increasing capital by almost $500 billion, creating 500,000 new black businesses, and would give black churches the ability to fight for federal resources for their communities. And why are we acting like strong borders aren't a thing literally everywhere else in the world? Since when has being patriotic been a crime? See, a few weeks ago at the debate, Trump mentioned black jobs, and a lot of people got in an uproar as if they didn't know what he meant. Well, we go to the polls and cast our black vote. We go to the stores and spend our black dollar. We live in our black community, but for whatever reason, we draw the line at a black job. Oh, but wait, because if you're wondering what a black job is, please, I encourage you all to drive through Atlanta at all these beautiful black-owned businesses and check and see who works there. Probably a black person working for a black entrepreneur, recycling the black dollar, creating black generational wealth. If they come here illegally and they're taking your jobs and your resources, then please believe my cousins in the Appalachians, they coming for you too. And y'all know Kamala Harris has yet to say Laken Riley's name. As borders are, she opened the border to millions of illegal immigrants that have flooded American streets with deadly drugs and gangs that have spiked overdoses by over 124% and brought more crime into minority communities. So how's that for black folks? But let's take race out of it. Just as a woman, period. How can you be a champion for women's rights when you're taking away opportunities from biological women and giving them to transgendered ones? I'll wait, y'all, because I wasn't done. See, how can you promote equity for women and you're allowing men to play in women's sports? And what kind of feminist would still allow men to enter their sacred spaces, i.e. our bathrooms and school locker rooms? Do I even need to mention the opening ceremony at the Olympics? Or the fact that Angela Carini was forced to fight a man and told us that she's never been punched so hard in her life. We cannot allow dangerous liberals who think things like this are okay into the White House, because my daughter will not be fighting a man at her wrestling match. And what I think both men and women can agree on is that national security is important. So who would y'all rather see lead us into war if it were so to happen? My silk-pressed sister Kamala or the big dog Donald Trump?
I mean, what can you say about this? You can't say anything more about this. I think she did an excellent job. There's about 3 minutes left on this video. I'm not going to play the whole video because I played like 7 minutes of it. If you want to watch this video, I will repost it in my timeline on X. So we have Kamala Harris, who has not told us what she is running on. She has not gave us an inkling of when she's planning to put that platform together and tell us, hey, we were able to. If I was voting for Kamala Harris, I would want to tell the people that I'm trying to persuade, hey, Kamala is, you go, number one, you can go to her website, but I will be regurgitating this information to everybody. Hey, this is this. I wouldn't get in these crazy fights on Twitter saying, well, Donald Trump, what is he running on? Have fun with your freedoms. That's the best thing. Have fun with so you're being a tool for the KKK? Or you're a coon. Those are their talking points. But if I had somebody in my inbox saying, "Hey, what's Kamala Harris? What does she feel about inflation? How's she planning to tackle inflation? Blah blah blah." They get mad at you because you ask those type of questions. Well, these are legitimate questions because these things affect me. I live in the United States. I live in the United States and you are mad at me because I'm asking you to give me the things that Kamala Harris are planning to initiate when she is elected into office. Or you want me to support her. For what reasons? Because she had Megan Thee Stallion there? Or she went to a HBCU? Or she's a Divine Nine? Which is totally ridiculous. This is how Kamala Harris answered the questions on inflation.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people in our country. So it's a big issue, and we take it seriously. And it is a priority, therefore.
What else?
How else are you going to tackle inflation? I didn't ask you the definition of inflation and explain it to a third grader. I asked you, what is your plan? How would you tackle inflation? And this is the answer she gave the American people. That's the answer. And then you get mad at someone because they don't want to support this nonsense. You're mad at the non-Kamala supporters. And then you have people, Ann Love. I'm just giving an example. Ann Love, she said, I'm an independent because I don't want no parts of this show. And so I'll be over in the corner looking at the side. You'll get mad at Ann Love. Well, if you don't vote for Kamala, you vote for Trump. If you're not a vote for Kamala, a no vote for Kamala is like vote for Trump, or we could say it on the other side. A no vote for Trump is like voting for Kamala. And it is. You're absolutely right. But you're mad at people because they decided, okay, I don't want no parts of this, or no, I don't want to vote for Kamala. I just don't want to vote for her. Or I'm going to vote for JFK. I wouldn't vote for him because he's really extreme too. I don't know if he's as a progressive as Kamala Harris, but he's out there. He's out there too. But if I were to tell you this is why you should vote for Kamala Harris, I will have bullet points. These are the things that she is running on. She's planning to fix this and this and this. Border czar is not a good point to go back on. Or she's planning to fix the border because she had 4 years to fix the border. She had 4 years to fix the economy. And they're doing a horrible job. So you got to come with more than that. Because people like me is going to say, oh, what did she do in the last 3.5 years? No, she ran amok in the last 3.5 years. And she didn't fix anything. And now they're trying to fix some stuff. Now they're on the rush. These last 90 days, they're in a rush to say, oh, we did this, we did that. Well, you should have been doing that prior to you running for office. Not just to try to get people support. You should have did that prior. Anywho, you guys let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about Kamala Harris and how you feel that this race is turning out. Are we going to see a drastic change? Now, I tell you, if she picks her VP, that is going to be very detrimental to her campaign. She has all white men on her campaign roster. All white men. And you know white men is the devil for liberals. They demonize themselves. Even the white men demonize themselves. They said it's too masculine. So I don't think she could pick Mark Kelly because he was a NASA and a war veteran. She might not be able to pick him. And then also he has ties with the Chinese government. I guess he was making balloons and stuff, and they have a patent together. I'm not for sure. I got to read more into it. But he has affiliation with China, so that might not go so well. Josh Shapiro, he's anti-Palestinians. He's a string supporter of the Israel state. Might not go so well for him. So the next best thing is Pete Buttigieg. But is he a likable person? Do people actually like Pete? He's low on the totem pole. I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure. So whoever she picks in this next few hours, it will be interesting to see. I just ran across this one post on Yahoo. They said Harris faces party divisions as she chooses a running mate. The party division probably coming from because she didn't get elected. She was selected. The people in her party is probably pissed off about that. She hasn't did no work in her career to get where she's at. It's either luck of the draw, she's doing something strange for a little change to get where she's at. So Kamala Harris, she doesn't know real work. Josh Shapiro, I'm not for sure, but he canceled a lot of his speaking engagements, so he might be the pick. But it's not going to sit well with her. That's going to backfire on her because, he's a Jewish guy, and he's been very vocal about Israel's stance against the Palestinians. So, anyway, you guys put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. Let me get to some of your comments. And love, like I said, I got to change the Streamlabs to, it's computer generated. Donald, is she a politician? No, I don't think so. But she's in Blexit. She is like the coordinator for, or she's over. And you're talking about Michaela Montgomery, the lady that was speaking. She's not, but she's planning to start a podcast on one of those Christian radio shows, and then, she's over the Blessed satellite location in Atlanta, Georgia. Kennard, is great to hear black women making sense. Kevin saying this woman is the rock star. Preach. Bama 80. Man, I hate to see her lying face. She's clueless. Yes, she is. LOL, how can anyone in her right mind vote for that clown? I bet she could tell us how to tackle the striptease. Stop it. She needs to first win. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? Stephen 1976, they want the border like it is. Yes, they do. Sandra says Democrats are the party of racial divisions and segregation. People are crazy voting for them. Yes. They cause division. You see how George was talking to Byron Donalds, because he was saying that he was using a slur, and it's like, okay, a slur saying that you are not something and you brought it up. Like, how is that a slur? So they want to cause this racial divide. One last thing before I go, and I was trying to find it and I couldn't. I heard, Beyonce is putting $4 million into Kamala Harris campaign. They've been liberal for the longest. I'm not surprised. But the other thing I ran across, and I don't know if this is an old interview, but Jay-Z was talking to Van Jones, and they were speaking about how the economy affects, just everyday people. Jay-Z, this fool gonna say, well, money ain't everything. Yeah, when you have a lot of it, it ain't everything. It's got to be, people got to be happy. People are not happy if they can't pay groceries. If you don't have the everyday basic necessity, you're not going to be happy. If I'm working every day, if I'm a man and I'm working every day to pay, to take care of my household, and I'm barely making it, yeah, I'm going to feel some type of way. I'm not going to be happy. So Jay-Z could say he's so out of touch with reality. I think he's been rich for so long. He don't understand. Hey, if I can't pay my water, my gas, my lights, the roof over my head, food on the table, yes, I'm going to be unhappy. I need to make some changes in my life to, start, generating some more money. But who says that kind of stuff? When you say that kind of stuff, you're out of touch with reality. You don't know everyday people. So that, I think that was very disheartening to hear that. And he's on national TV saying that. And people are going to be like, oh yeah, money ain't everything. Money is not everything. But I can only say that because I don't worry about paying lights and gas. But when you're talking about people struggling to pay lights, gas, rent, and all that stuff, yeah, money is a necessity. They live in paycheck beyond paycheck. So I'm not in their shoes, and he's not in everyday American shoes. So anyway, that's the only thing I gotta say about that. You guys put in the chat, let me know what you think. I will be online probably around 1:00 tomorrow. So you guys stay tuned. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this channel. I'm sending all my good to you. I will talk to you soon.